Alright everybody, this is another video that was originally on my Doc P91B channel, but it really I think belongs on this channel now that I'm starting a military related channel. So I got a viewer request, a Q&A question about challenge coins and the history of, and what do we do with them and what are they for. And I'll be honest, I'm not happy with this video. It's a fairly old video. But the truth is, I like what I have to say in it. I thought about reshooting the whole thing just to re-upload on this channel and redo it, but it turns out I actually am really happy with the words that are coming out of my mouth, even though I'm not happy with the video quality. So I'm just going to take this video, I'm going to re-upload it here and put it here, and even though it's not the finest video quality production standards, I hope you enjoy the subject matter and the explanation.
Hey guys, I'm back. New kind of video, different kind of video. Not a new kind of video, but a little bit different. Messing with this picture-in-a-picture thing on the fancy video camera that I don't use very often. But, so, recently we did some unboxings of some awesome new knives, the Scorpions from Off Grid, and they came with some collectible challenge coins with them, which are cool. But it raised some questions from some viewers, and you know, for some reason I get a lot of questions. Well, I guess not for some reason, it's because I have an email address for questions, but people will ask questions in emails privately. I don't know if they don't want to put it out publicly, they don't want to ask, or I don't know, but you'd be surprised how many times, like folks, guys, gals, associated others, whatever. If you have a question or you're wondering something, chances are somebody else is too. And I used to run into it as an instructor, you know, last time in the military. Somebody's got to step up and ask the question. And a lot of people were very curious about challenge coins in the military. And what are they? Where do they come from? What are they used for? Why does anybody give a crap? Does anybody really give a crap? You know, what do you do with them? How do you get them? All sorts of questions. So I'm considering that a viewer request. You guys like it when I do the history and the collections and all that stuff. So here we go. Let's talk about challenge coins. And you know, one thing I love about the Air Force is old Air Force. I don't know. Air Force, I wouldn't do very well in the new Air Force. The nice, friendly, touchy-feely Air Force. But they love their tradition. Big Blue loves its heritage. You know, all these things are a really big deal, and the challenge coin really goes back to the very earliest days of not the Army, which the Army still plays the game sometimes. I find it not to be as big in the Army as the Air Force, but the earliest days of the Air Force, back when the Air Force was part of the Army, called the Army Air Corps. And before that, I mean, even before that, before there was an Air Corps, there was the Army Signal Corps, had all the aircraft. And shortly after transitioning to the Air Corps and all that, you know, challenge coins became a thing. And it really followed the Air Force culture. And kind of when the Air Force separated in 1947, it really followed and continued and grew the challenge coin, whatever you want to call it, the mythos, the subculture, the practice. Now, like I said, other services do it, but it all comes down to the Army Air Corps. While I'm doing this video, by the way, you might see me messing around with this. This is a new knife by Buck and Blade. You're going to see the full review on in a little bit, but it's another one of those that's on bearings, so it's just so much fun just to mess with and flip. So if you hear that in the background, it wouldn't be a Doc P video if I wasn't messing with a knife or something in the background. So we're going to talk about the history of the challenge coin. You know, to the best, most believable story that I've been able to distill it down to in my career. You know, where they came from, why we carry them, what they mean, how you get them, what you do with them, and do people care? Does anybody care? And the short answer is yes, some people care way too much. Other people are like, meh, and then I find that most of the service is spread out on a spectrum somewhere between meh and I care way too much about my coins. So I guess we'll just delve right in, huh? So what you see in front of you here, you know what? I want to adjust this little picture-in-a-picture thing because I want to be more centered in it. And look at that! Look at me learning stuff with technology. Okay, so what you see here is what really inspired me to do this whole video is that a lot of my military stuff is still in storage when I moved from Florida because I just don't need it. I'm letting it go. Let it go, let it go. We just got Disney Plus, and God bless the Mandalorian. If you are a true Star Wars fan, awesome. But I'm letting it go, and the stuff that I don't need stays in boxes. And a lot of the stuff that used to occupy the front line of my career, plaques, awards, things like that, old uniforms, they stay in these boxes with some of the most important coins to me because those are the ones I displayed so people could obviously see what a badass I was based on coins. You know, you had to do that in the military. That's one of the things they're for. Show everybody how cool you are. But I found in a bag in the closet upstairs, literally a Ziploc bag full of a lot of my other coins that I've collected throughout my career, both the Army and the Air Force. So I said, well, what a great opportunity to show you guys different kinds of coins, you know, and sort of what they're for and talk about them. And let's not kid ourselves. The main point of this video is for me to show off how cool I am with my coins. Right? I mean, that's what it's all about. But no, I hope that, you know, for those the history buffs that really enjoy learning the history of stuff, this might be a cool video. And for those of you who had the questions about the coins and everything, there you go. So, what is a coin? Well, first of all, it is highly discouraged. Things in the military are highly encouraged, which means they're not mandatory, but they're damn well mandatory and you better do them. Or they're highly discouraged, which means it's not against the rules and we technically can't punish you for doing it, but we'll try to find every excuse we can to punish you for doing it. It's highly discouraged to call these things coins. They are RMOs. They are round metal objects. And God, the procedural crap in the military, federal vets out there know it's stupid as hell. But do you know why you're technically not supposed to call this a coin? Because a coin is currency. And if we were to call these a coin, we'd be implying that they are currency. And since we have them made ourselves, that would mean that we are minting our own currency. And that would be illegal. I can't make this crap up. That's real stuff. So the official term is the RMO, the round metal object. A very original name for it, though, and you know, if you look online, you're going to find a whole bunch of different origin stories. They used to, I think, the story goes far back as like ancient Roman Greek times. They would reward soldiers who performed very well with, you know, a literal coin, like a monetary coin. They'd be like, "Hey, you did really good. Here it is." The story that I'm going to tell you, though, on the origin of it is what is passed down Air Force heritage-wise, and in every Air Force Squadron bar, but it's not a bar because we're not allowed to say that because it's a heritage room, but it's a bar. Let me tell you, Air Force units, especially combat units, especially those with long lineages, have the coolest bars you've ever seen. But that is where you get together and they have I'm giving away all the best secrets. So there's the beer light on Fridays. On Fridays, usually have what they call a weapons and tactics talk. And that's where, after all the official work of the week is done, you're not dismissed yet, but you're not going to touch weapons, you're not going to touch aircraft, you're not going to touch any systems. You're going to basically sit and listen to the weapons and tactics guys. That was me as a weapons school graduate once upon a time. And some officers teach you stuff about, like, hey, here's what's going on, here's new threats, here's the trends we saw in training operations this week. But during that, you get to eat jalapeno popcorn, you get to drink the beer light, because most bars have a wide selection of adult beverages, and for those not of drinking age, they have some non-adult beverages too. But so in every bar heritage room, there's lots of rules. If you break the rules, you get fined. The money that you get fined goes to the operation of the heritage room and the bar. One of the things you will find on the wall is the actual history of the coin, and you're supposed to know that, but you're not supposed to get caught reading that, because getting caught reading the rules or anything else on the walls of the heritage room is a violation, and you get a fine. So you have to be sneaky about it. You have to read it when nobody else is in there and nobody's looking. There's also all sorts of other, just FYI, putting your hat on the bar, that's a fine. Yeah, I mean, and there's some that are just like, that are across the board. There are some that are squadron specific. Like in our squadron, if you started telling any story, I mean, it could be a work-related story. If you started telling any story to the group that did not, and you forgot to start it with "so no shit, there I was," you were fined. You had to start it with it. Even if you're saying like, "so I was in the bathroom and they're out of paper towels," like you have to say, "so no shit, there I was," and everybody goes, "Where were you?" "I was in the bathroom, we're out of paper towels. Somebody needs to refill that stuff." You know what I mean? Anyway, there's a whole lot of cool things that go on. All right. Sorry, I'm getting off track. I get excited when I talk about military stuff. I miss it, guys. I miss it a lot. So the history of the coin, the story I believe, the story that is most idolized and passed down in Air Force history, and that I believe is you know, the 85% truest solution to this mystery. So it goes back to the early days of World War I, American involvement in World War I, which we only came in at the end. I mean, but the first American pilots, and if you see the movie Fly Boys, it's like 10% accurate and the rest is Hollywooded up. But the first American pilots fought for the French, and they were all volunteers. When America entered the war, those pilots were forced to basically join the American Air Corps, or not, or quit. But we would not let them fight with the French anymore. So a lot of those guys came back and shared their input. Now back then, so you know, people talk about income inequality and disparity and privilege now. Think about 1917, right? The only folks in the world going to college, the only ones, are gonna be, let's face it, rich white guys. I mean, they are, right? That are going to the military. And, you know, in 1917, it is, you know, you can volunteer as an officer to do something you might want, or you're probably going to get drafted, you're going to join the infantry, you're going to end up in a trench, and you're going to die. So a lot of the early pilots in the Air Corps were actually volunteers who had no experience flying whatsoever, never saw an airplane before, but they were, you know, these wealthy, to-do, rich white dudes who heard about the adventure and excitement and wanted to do it. And since they all came from, a lot of them came from these prominent families, you know, across the USA, they like to show off, you know, their money and stuff. One guy thought, and I can't remember names or anything like this, he said, you know, it's a great idea. I'm going to have something made for my new squadron buddies. I'm going to give them a present that's not only going to be like, check out my money, but it's also going to be like, hey guys, I got a present for us. Because remember, all this like flying was brand new. And again, ask a veteran, you know, fellow vets can attest. Even if you hate your unit, if anybody talks smack about your unit that's not in your unit, you will fight them. It's like having an annoying little brother. You can beat them up, but nobody else from outside your family can beat them up, or you will kick their ass. So everybody wanted to kind of stand out. They wanted to have their own identity. I mean, and this didn't go away. This is like to this day. You know, fighter squadrons and you know, all combat units are like that. This guy had, you know, from his rich family, he had a bunch of medallions made. And when I say medallion, I mean like now, I've got a fairly large. This is a pretty big size for a challenge coin. As it's, well, this one's even a little bit bigger. This is pretty big. Most of them are round, like we said, RMOs round. This is pretty big, but we're talking like these first ones were like Olympic size, gold medal, you know, kind of stuff you dangle around your neck. He had them made out of, and I can't remember, you know, right off the top of my head. It was a metal that wasn't key for war production yet, so it was easy to get his hands on. It was like bronze or brass or something fancy, but not like gold, not like silver. It was something that wouldn't be stolen worthy, but it was, you know, a nice. It wasn't like tin. It wasn't like aluminum, you know what I mean? That they were building, you know, stuff out of, not steel. So this guy has these medallions made, and they've got the squadron motto and the squadron insignia, and there weren't that many squadrons then. So, everybody in the Air Corps basically knew all the other squadrons. You didn't know everybody, just like now. People are like, "Oh, you were in the Air Force? Do you know Jim Smith?" And I'm like, "Do you know there's like 3 million people in the Air Force spread out between active duty, guard, and reserves?" But sometimes I just look at them, I'm like, "Oh yeah, me and Jimmy, we go way back. You heard about the car accident, right?" And then walk away. Just walk away. But anyway, so he gave these medallions out to his fellow squadron mates and said, "Hey, this is just cool for us. This identifies us." And these guys would carry them around in their pockets all the time. It became part of their identity as this specific squadron. They'd go to the bar and to show everybody they were together, who they were. When they were drinking, they'd slam their medallions down on the bar, and that was their bar space. Like from this end of the medallions to this end, like we're drinking here. Don't get in our way. Okay, so fast forward. Remember, Americans were relatively new to the war, and the few Americans that did flew with the French were volunteers. They weren't very spread out among the Armée de l'Air, whatever the hell they call it, the Airborne Surrender Force, whatever. What we do know, what the Americans did know, is that getting shot down late in the war was much different than getting shot down in the early part of the war, where there was very gentlemanly, kind of chivalrous, almost knightly behavior between pilots early on in the war, and it evolved into a bloodbath later on in the war by the time the Americans got there. And there were events early on in the war where, like, if a pilot ran out of ammunition in his guns and the other pilot recognized that, they would like fly alongside, rock their wings, give him a salute, and fly away, because there's no sport, there's no honor in shooting down a guy that can't shoot back. Fast forward to the end of the war, you've got guys carrying guns in their cockpits so they could fly alongside and shoot people in the face. I mean, it's stuff that happened. They throw the first air-to-air victory was a scout plane versus a scout plane and shooting with a handgun. But that's neither here nor there. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. I could talk about this stuff all day, but I won't, because that would upset some people. So anyway, what these guys that flew with the French told them is that stuff is bad if you get shot down now. If you get shot down, your best hope is to try to find an Allied soldier, tell them you're in the Air Corps, and have them get you back, to France, so that hopefully you can get back in the air. The Germans are likely to kill you because they were doing a lot of strafing infantry positions and a lot of dropping the first little bombs on infantry positions. So there was some cool espionage going on. There were, after a battle, everything was visual. There were no cameras of it. There were no records of it. Pilot says, "I shot down 3 airplanes," and they're like, "Well, anybody else see you do it?" And he's like, "Nope." And they're like, "Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But let's go look for those dudes and try to capture them or kill them." And there were cases of where sometimes the Germans would find down airmen, put their uniforms on, because most French guys couldn't tell a German accent, a German-speaking German, from an American-speaking English. Like an uneducated, kind of blue-collar factory worker that was drafted to fight on the line. It was just, if you weren't speaking French, I'm shooting you. So there were a few times where the Germans would pull this, and so the new French attitude is basically, if we can't identify a pilot we find on the ground, we're going to kill him, because if he's not French, sorry, he's done. So this American pilot did find himself down in France, was trying to get back, was very happy when he saw some members of the French army. They were not too happy when they saw him, because of course they couldn't understand anything he said. They assumed he was a German agent, wearing a uniform they couldn't really recognize, by the way, because very few had seen a U.S. Army Air Corps uniform. Nobody knew what it was. So they were right away. They were like, "All right, let's kill this dude, and then let's move on and find some Germans to kill." Well, this guy was emphatically trying to say, "I'm a friend of yours. I'm friendly. I'm friendly. I'm friendly." And they were like, "We know le speakers and language you speak, German, American, whatever the hell you are, guy." That's probably word for word. That's a quote. It's in history. You can look that up. That happened. So they're getting ready to execute this dude. I mean, and we're talking blindfold, last cigarette up against a brick wall, asking him questions in French that he can't possibly answer. And while someone else is going through his stuff, they find the medallion. And this one French officer is smart enough to know, I recognize the symbols on this medallion as a U.S. Army Air Corps unit. And he says, hold up a second, guys. He calls up to a headquarters. He says, here's what we found. We got this. We have this. And when he calls up, they said he's carrying a little, is it a brass, bronze, whatever medallion with the squadron and blah, blah, blah. And he says, yes, it is. And they said, stop, don't shoot that dude. Say you're sorry. He's an American pilot. There's only one group of people that have this. This is the story. I'm at this aerodrome, which was they called air bases then. That guy is from this unit. Get me his name. He's an American pilot. Stop, don't kill him. And basically carrying this little RMO, this medallion, saved this guy's life. Because if he hadn't had it, he probably just would have been killed. It would have been chalked up to he was lost in aerial combat, flew away, never came back, and nobody would have known. When he got back, of course, you know, everybody was like, woohoo, you're back, let's have drinks, and tell us a story. And he was like, so no shit, there I was. And they were all like, where were you? And he was like, about to be shot by some French dudes. And they pulled out my medallion and said, we know who you are now. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. We're not going to kill you because we were able to identify you as not being a German guy because of this medallion. Way to go. Congratulations. You win. And your prize is we're not going to kill you on this, you know, French battlefield somewhere. So, of course, when that happened, the word went out that all of these squadrons, everybody should start producing something like this. Now, the first ones were those fancy ones, but you know, think about it. You're in combat in World War I. You have fabricators around. What do you have to work with? So the next ones were not as fancy. They were very basic, engraved little pieces of tin and stuff, but they were enough that guys carried them, and it was like your identification, like dog tags, ID card, your medallion. Like that was what you pulled out if you went down somewhere over the battlefield. And it became almost like, oh, you're in so-and-so squadron? Oh, that's cool. What do you guys carry on your coin? And they, like, units would compare and be like, oh, that's nice. I like the engraving on that, but check out what we've got. And, you know, they'd show it. And a guy who went out anywhere and didn't have his coin on him was like a super noob, right? He was a loser. Nobody liked him. He was not... Yeah, the guys made fun of him like, dude, you're never going to make it through combat if you don't have your coin on you. It's kind of like reflective belts are now. Like, you don't have a reflective belt, you're going to get struck by lightning and die. Like, you don't have your coin on you, you're going to get syphilis and die if you sleep with a prostitute tonight. But if you have your coin on you, you're going to be just fine. So carrying the coin became a way of life for aviators in the Army Air Corps during World War I. And it was like a big thing. And so units would then strive to make a better, with what they had, a better, fancier coin than others. And, you know, lo and behold, here's the 1 minute where somebody found paint. Oh my God. So they not only had their little crappily engraved little tin coin, but they put paint on it. So there was color. Game changer. I mean, you can look over some of these coins and see where we've come today. And this is an Army coin I got back in 2000. So I imagine this is like representative of what the early medallion coins looked like, you know, versus something like what they became. I mean, take a look at, this is a deployment coin. So that's the history of the coin. Now, it has gone to, just about every service has some variation of the coin. The Air Force is really, really into it. The Army's kind of into it, but on different, and everybody, there's an associated procedure with the coin that people do all kind of same, but a little bit different. We're going to get to that, but let's so if we're done with the history of the coin, and there are no questions from the class, let's move on to what are they for though now today? Like, what do they do? What are they? What are the different? There are different kinds of coins. So remember, those first initial coins were just basically like proving that you're in a squadron, and we still have those today. This is one now. My first Air Force unit. Well, not my first Air Force unit, but this is my first Air Force training adventure with the 342nd Training Squadron, when I thought I was going to be a PJ until I broke my leg. And then they were like, you can't jump out of airplanes anymore. And I was like, no problem. I'll be the PJ that doesn't jump out of airplanes. And they're like, no, you don't quite get how this works. But my first active, actual, combat assignment squadron for the Air Force was the 726 Air Control Squadron, which sounds very benign, doesn't it? But this is a squadron coin. So this basically says, I belong to the Squadron. And this is, you know, the basic kind of coin. You can, when you get to the coin, sometimes you're given this. Like, as a supervisor, when I got a new troop, like fresh out of basic and tech school and all that, I'd get them a Squadron coin. It cost a few, it costs a little bit of money, and then it goes into the unit fund to pay for stuff the unit needs. But I'd buy them a Squadron coin and be like, here's your coin, you'll learn all about it at the next roll call, so enjoy it. You know, so very basic kind of stuff. In my off time, since I was a huge overachiever, I like to design coins whenever the Squadron needed one. So I designed this one, I designed this one, I partially designed part of this one. I designed a few coins in my time with PowerPoint, because I don't know how to do anything. I'm not that fancy, but I can I can cut and paste pictures like nobody's business. This one and this one. Anyway, making coins is pretty simple. Having them produced, that's another issue. Most coins are actually produced in like Korea, because the production, it's expensive to produce coins, which is another factor. But those are just basically like unit belonging coins. And so we have coins from the unit, and then when we deployed, we would, like, you know, some coins just mark your participation in something, in a special exercise and deployment. So like when we would deploy, we would always make a deployment coin for everybody who was there, just so that you could have it and be like, hey, I was there. It's not worth anything. Okay, these monetarily, these don't have value except for like the collectability. And there are some military challenge coins that like become worth money sometimes, you know, like later on. A lot of these, like a Squadron coin, I mean, everybody gets one, so they're constantly produced. Although I will show you, like, you know, they changed. When I first got to the 726 in 2004, this is what it looked like. All right, and I mean, then we went to this guy, and then we went to this guy, which is, I mean, just like, you know, so they change over time and look fancier, but it's all still just unit coin. So deployment coins are kind of cool because it marks something special, and you can kind of, they're like morale coins, right? So you can put stuff that like inside jokes that only people on that deployment will understand. Like, so this is one, what deployment is this from? This is September 06 to Jan 07. This was actually my shortest deployment ever, but this was Iraq, when stuff got really cool in 06. And then, yeah, I slapped them. They needed it, right? Only if you were there would you understand. And then, you know, because that's what we did. We called in the jets. We told them what to blow up and who to kill and all that stuff. So, you know, there's stuff like that. Those are limited because you only make enough for the people on the deployment. There are other coins for other things, like this guy right here. This is still considered a coin, even though it's shaped like this. And oh my God, a bottle opener. So I got this for participating in an exercise called Red Flag Alaska. You might have heard of Red Flag. It's like the world's most awesome combined air combat exercise in the world. We do a huge one in the Nevada desert a few times a year. We do a smaller but equally as awesome one in Alaska, so our partners in the Pacific can play a few times a year. So this is from being at Red Flag Alaska, being a participant in that exercise. Love Alaska, by the way. Awesome. Sometimes you might get a Squadron coin from helping out, from working with a Squadron. And to say thank you, they give you a coin. You trade coins. You're like, hey, here, take a coin, here, have a coin. So I was never part of the 71st Rescue Squadron, but I did some operations with them. And so I got a coin for it. I also collect patches, by the way, of every unit I've ever worked with in combat. I've ever called in death from, directed, or anything like that. Maybe I'll do a video on patches someday. This is another deployment. Well, this is the same one, so let's move this. I'm looking for like another cool. This one's September 2010 to March 2011. This was the operation where we were there to switch from Operation Iraqi Freedom to Operation New Dawn. So that was pretty cool. I have some Afghanistan ones here too. This was a cool one. This is working with our NATO folks in Afghanistan. Love working with NATO guys on joint combined missions. We had Army, Marines, and then those NATO guys working with us. That was cool. So there's lots of those kinds of things you get, that you can get. Some coins you can, and you know, now some people are very much against this. Some are like, whatever. There's some coins you just buy because they're like novelty coins. This one, so I spent some time, our main, when we were in Iraq most of the time, our main base was Balad. A lot of people don't understand this. So Baghdad is cool and all, but the single most attacked base in all of Iraq was on the Air Force side. It was called Balad Air Base, and on the Army side it was called LSA Anaconda, and then later on it was just called Joint Base Balad. But man, we got mortared and rocketed, and random guys shooting guns over the fence line and all sorts of stuff all the time. So this is just a morale coin from that I saw. I thought it was funny because it has a parrot wearing, you know, a helmet. But we called Balad Mortaritaville because you are getting mortared at any given point during the day, to the point where you stop even responding to the alarm reds, and you're just like, well, if it's my time, it's my time. Oh well. This is a coin that was given to me that was cool because it's a different shape. It's like a dog tag shape, and it's just like a generic Iraqi freedom coin. Some coins are, now we've looked at some basic shapes. Some coins are just like individual to represent the unit. So this is from 1st Cavalry Division. This has the black horse head and a lightning bolt, and that's pretty cool. I mean, coins like this stand out. The only problem is they stand out, so they don't match anything else, and they don't go with anything else. But this is actually a unit deployment coin, which is pretty cool. So those are like, you know, another thing. This is even when this is cool. We got Aiden this generic one when he was born, just because it's a novelty, you know, in the BX, Air Force Brat coin, just carry around. So those are cool. But the coins that really mean something are the ones that are presented to you. Now, you know, you can get coins presented for various things. What is this one for? Oh, this is for graduating from NCO Academy. This is just cool because it's like a big ass fancy coin. There are a lot of accomplishments in the military that you don't get medals all the time. Like, you don't get medals for just, you know, everything. You know, medals, especially in the Air Force, they have to be written in a very specific way. And here's what sucks: you could have a troop who does a fantastic, amazingly good ththing. If their supervisor writes the decoration up crappy, they miss out. Same thing, writing performance reports. It's all about writing the perfect, what we call, bullet statement. And well, I'm not even going to get into that. But anyway, medals and everything are really nice, and getting those, you know, actual framed awards, like, you know, of like NCO of the year, stuff like that, that's nice. But a lot of times on the spot, like just being recognized for doing great work, you can be presented coins for doing stuff. So there's, you know, a few different ones here. Now, like I said, my really cool ones are in that bag. The ones I was most proud of. But so, like, going way back Army ways, when Bosnia, Kosovo was a thing that we cared about in my earliest, youngest, stupidest days. There's NATO, or actually, well, yes, it's the NATO headquarters. And this was presented by a 4-star general, who our unit had to basically escort and protect and give him the lay of the land over there once upon a time. What's another good one? So I think I showed you this one. This is actually from Baghdad. And it's a superior performer coin. So again, you know, you've done something that's noteworthy, that they're not going through the time, or there's not the opportunity to write a whole decoration and give you medal, but they want to recognize you. So you will get a coin from a high-ranking person. Now, this one actually has a chief's name on it, and I feel bad because I can't remember who this chief is right here. This is the part where you're just supposed to think how cool I am and look at all my fancy stuff. I don't remember who that chief was. I think he was at Mountain Home. No, he was at Luke Air Force Base. And, you know, so you get presented these coins And it's really cool because they'll walk up and they'll have the coin in the hand and they'll be like, I just want to tell you what a great job you've done. And you'll shake their hand and take the coin and all that stuff. And these are cool. They're actually kind of, to some people, cooler than like a medal because, you know, everybody gets like an achievement medal, but how many people get the coin from General Wesley Clark, you know? And you can display that and be like, hey, remember that time I did a good thing and I got a cookie for it? And like, there it is. Some other kinds of things you get present. This is from, maybe I'll tell you the story on like next story time with Doc. This one I got from a brigade commander, I think in 2000 at Fort Bragg during Operation Rio Lobo. What a fucked up exercise that was. Everything that went wrong could go wrong. Some of them though are not there, and I'll explain why the rank matters later on. This one means a lot to me because a brand new commissioned officer that was enlisted that then became an officer. You know, when they give their first salute, they give whoever they give the first salute to, they give a silver dollar to. So I got the first salute from an old friend in a silver dollar, but also she carried this coin for like motivation for you know, making it through OTS and getting everything. And so then she gave me her first lieutenant her second lieutenant coin also, which was really cool during the handshake, as well as a silver dollar, which was nice. Still have that silver dollar like in a little box. Anybody who's watched Top Gun knows that call signs are a thing. So, you know, this is my coin for graduating. It's changed now, so you know, it's like, but I mean, it's changed for the better. It's like more widely recognized. So weapons school is mostly an officers, U.S. Air Force weapons school is mostly an officers program. There was like 6 enlisted guys in my class of 135. But this is my coin for graduating with my call sign engraved on it, right? So this, of course, to me means a lot. And I would carry this one around this is the one I would carry around most because this is a significant achievement. This was my my call sign coin from basic controller school, where I learned how to talk on the airplane, talk on the radio and tell airplanes what to kill and everything. So you can get them for all sorts of stuff. That's the point. The ones that really matter are the ones that are presented to you. And, you know, some of them are like, you know, some of them look fancy, some of them have gold and everything. And like, this is another presented one from a wing, from a group commander. It doesn't say it, but it was. So you never know. Like, you know, some of them are really cool and say fancy stuff and some don't. So, okay. So we've talked about the history of the coins. We talked about different kinds of coins and what you might get them for. What do we do with them? Well, the first thing you do with them is you can collect them and display them somewhere. And every crusty NCO on a desk somewhere has like a rack displaying their coins, because it is almost like a visual of, here's the stuff I've been in on. You know, here's where I've been. I have been in these units. Here's who's recognized me for doing good stuff. Here are deployments I've been on. Here's exercises I've been to. Here's, you know, units I've worked with, stuff like that. So it's, you know, we all have what we call the I Love Me wall, where you have all your stuff, awards and decks, like put up on the wall and all sorts of stuff. So coins kind of go on the I Love Me wall. It is one of those things that wows brand new troops when they come in and they meet you as like their frontline supervisor for the first time, and then they realize, oh, okay. But that's what most people do with them. A lot of people will put them in, like when they're done, they'll put them in a frame. I've been keeping them in a Ziploc bag, because you know what? All of these and, you know, $2.89 gets me a large iced coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. So whatever. Not a lot of use for them after the whole military thing. They're cool to have, and there are still times where, as an old retired guy, I can go to certain events and I can still carry my coin and it has its uses. So what are those uses? So this is the game, the coin check game. And this is another one where some people are like, that is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. And some people are like, that's so cool, I want to play. I am on the side of the spectrum where I'm like, this is just stupid. Why do we do this? But we do it. So, and again, Origins, I don't know. How does it work? A couple different ways. So you remember when I told you the story about guys would pull out their medallions or coins and put them on the bar and have drinks. So as the story goes, if someone was dumb enough to leave and not have their coin, when everybody pulled their coin out and slammed it on the bar, if you did not have yours, you bought a round of drinks for everybody as penance for not carrying your coin. And that game is still played. If a group of guys are going out, someone can coin check and put the coin down, and everybody can take their coins out, and if you don't have a coin, you buy a round. Can we enforce that rule? Of course not. But number one, you're a huge dick if you pull that move. Number two, you're a huge dick if then you don't play along and you say, I'm not buying you guys drinks. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a social thing. You can individually check someone. So take your coin out. I don't know why I keep getting this one. I'm going to do this one. You take your coin out and you tap it to see if they have it. Now, if they don't have it, they buy you a drink. If they do have it, you buy them a drink. This backfires very often. And some people take this game way too serious. There's the story in my career field of a guy who waited till someone was in the goddamn shower to jump and tap on the wall of the shower so they couldn't produce a coin, you know, just to win. But that's the thing. Now, the most common version of this game is that, and rules are, the rule of that is, it needs to be either a coin that is from your current unit of assignment or a specially presented one. So like this would cover all situations because this is a big bad kind of achievement coin in the Air Force world. So if you're in, so like when I was at Tyndall and I was part of the training squadron, I couldn't whip out a Hard Rock coin. Every squadron has its own call sign, by the way. Hard Rock was, Tyndall was Doghouse. If I was hanging out with Doghouse, I couldn't pull out a Hard Rock coin. Like I had to have the Tyndall coin or an acceptable, you know, like presentation coin. That reason why I'm not. A coin presented by a high-ranking person usually is the best reason why you're not carrying your unit's coin, because you're carrying that instead. So, like I said, the most common way to play this game is people take out their coins, and the one who has the highest ranking coin, people have to buy that dude a drink, or dudette. Now, I think this is the ultimate dick way to play the game, because, so I have a coin from Secretary of Defense sitting in my storage stuff. Basically, the only two people in the world that can beat me in that game are if they have a coin from the president or the vice president. You know? Not a lot of people in that world. So I'd be a true dick walking around with that coin, knowing it's basically for those who play the game. Like, you're going to get me a drink and you're going to get me a drink. Like, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. I understand doing the, like, on a TDY, a temporary, like, training mission where, you know, you're going out for the last night or something, or you're going out to dinner and you want to enforce traditions and heritage, and like, so you do the mass coin check and like, who doesn't have their coin? All right, you're buying a round of drinks. Carry your coin with you from now on. But I don't like the rules where you're like, I've got this 4-star general coin, and chances are you can't beat me, so I'm gonna throw it down there and make you buy me a drink. You know, like, that's just dick move. But that's the way a lot of people play the game. Who's got the highest ranking coin? I don't know. I told you, I prefer everybody have their coin, and the guy who forgets to take part in heritage and history and the thing that brings us together has to buy a round of drinks. I mean, but here's the funny part. It's not like everybody goes and order those drinks. That guy can come back with lemonade. He can come back. Normally, you do like, hey, everybody gets a round of beers or something, or everybody's doing Jack and Coke, or everybody gets Jack and Coke. But you can screw with people and order like the frou-frouest, fanciest, comes with umbrellas and pieces of fruit and a big feather out of it, pink drink in the bar, and make all the guys drink it. Because if you refuse a drink that's bought for you on a coin check, you're an even bigger dick. So there are different dick levels that we go through when playing this game, but they all equal like to dick. So, but there's fun rules that you can play if you're into it. But the main thing that all these coins do now is they sit in a baggie, because once you're out, they're pieces of metal. They're not precious metal. They're just pieces of metal. They cost a lot to produce. When you go and you get a coin made for the first time, you have to pay like a setup fee, because they have to produce like dies and stuff to stamp the coins out. And then if you're getting that's the main cost, and then it's price per coin. When you order more, you pay less per coin. But a coin like this is a lot cheaper to mass produce than a coin like this or this. I mean, and it all comes down to it. Coins with fancy edges like this are ridiculously expensive compared to, and like, look at this scalloped edge there, compared to just a plain old edge. So when you're making these coins for things, you have to think about these things. This is a cool one. I got this. The Air Force independent duty medical technicians actually go to the same school that Army Special Forces 18 Deltas go through, and a lot of extra like veterinary training and everything. These guys can deploy and basically work very similar to a physician's assistant. But they're enlisted medics. And I used to, knowing my background, our unit was assigned 3 of them. Because we were, I've always tried to describe this, we were not a unit that fixes planes back at the base. We were a unit that deploys out to the field, secures our site, and operates for up to 90 days at a time with no one else coming to help us deliver supplies or anything like that. Forward controlling the airspace and battle space and, close air support and all that stuff. So we have all this stuff. But the IDMTs, actually, the head IDMT knew one of the guys that I, as a young medic, worked for at William Beaumont Army Medical Center at Fort Bliss, which was really cool. But they, since I helped them so much, I even taught an EMT class with them to get guys certified for Combat Lifesaver. They gave me this, so this means a lot to me. It's not a very fancy coin, but this means more to me than a lot of other stuff out there. I feel like I earned it, But okay, so I have no idea how long I've been talking now, but that's challenge coins. That's what they are. That's where they come from. It's why we carry them. It's what we do with them. It's where we get them. All these different things. And I hope that I have answered pretty much all of, if not most of, or is it most of, if not all of? I don't know. It's doing this video at, well, my Fitbit's dead. I don't know, whatever time in the morning. But yeah. Now, again, other services do this. They don't all do them exactly the same as the Air Force, but I know that the main game is the same throughout. So like when you're doing joint service operations, somebody whips a coin out and puts it on the table, everybody knows what to do with it. I don't know if the Coast Guard is as into it, but I've seen Marines, Army, and Navy guys in joint operations all know exactly what to do during coin check. I don't think they take it to the heritage level that we did in the Air Force. All right, this concludes this block of instruction. What are your questions? I miss being an instructor and I miss being in the Air Force. So no, seriously guys though, I hope that this really was like a little educational and entertaining to some of you guys. And thank you to everyone else that just watched for the hell of it, because it was up there. Awesome stuff. So I'm considering this a viewer requested video. Remember, you can always request videos. They don't have to be about knives. They can be about, and if I don't know the answer, like you want to do like something, a collection, a history, a traditional thing, I will look it up and I will do all the research and educate myself and then do the video on it. So where's the bottom of the screen in this shot? I think I'm looking upside down, so I think technically the bottom of the screen's over there. So questions for docp@gmail.com. You can send me like what is your question, or video thing that you want to do, or viewer request or whatever. Let me know and I'm happy to do these things for you guys. So okay, well, I'm going to put all these things back in a baggie, except for maybe this one. And I'm going to put them all back on a shelf in a closet. And maybe one day I'll set up a new I Love Me wall and display them, but probably not. I don't know. So anyway, guys, as always, you are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you. And I will be back again real soon.